It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.
All right, I think we're on now. Good morning, everyone. This is Gary Kay and Steph Beckett, and this is rAVe TV, the industry's only live TV show. And we come on every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern, and this is going to be a big day. We got a lot of stuff going on today and tomorrow.
Yeah, we do. It's a big week. It's a big week. Yeah. I think like news-wise, it's a little slower. Obviously, we are two weeks out of InfoComm, so we're taking it a little slow there. But for the rAVe team, it's very busy because the first thing that I want to remind everyone is Replay InfoComm 2026 is tomorrow. As all of you know, we gather a ton of product video footage from the show floor. This year we got over 1,800 videos. Those are all on our site, but instead of making you watch all 1,800, if that's like not how you choose to spend your time, we will pull about 50 of those things that we think are trendy, things that we think are important, things that we think are like very good products. Like Gary, I was paying attention to your booth tours, and anytime you would say, this is one of my favorite things I've seen, I would pull it and put it into the lineup. So it's gonna be very fun. I'm excited for everyone to kind of check it out and see what we think are the coolest things.
Yeah, and it's basically curated coverage of the show. Like, for example, you know, one of my favorite videos to shoot was the e-ink booth tour. That video has like 100,000 views, and a lot of people probably wouldn't even look for that video. But the reason why it's really popular is because they introduced a poster that is the thickness and the weight and has the density of a poster that is actually a color display, and they demonstrate that in the video. We'll show that to you on replay. So it's little things like that. That was not at the beginning of the video, the end of the video. It's right in the middle of the video. So you may have missed something like that.
That's wild. That is, I mean, like, I know that people watch our videos. Obviously, that's why we do them. But when I found out the other day that one, I think I checked last night, it was like 86,000 views on that video. And I was like, this is all organic. Like, that's so crazy. And all of the comments prove that it's organic, because some of the people are not even in our industry. They call you like, oh, look at this dude.
Like, interviewer dude. I read the comments. Actually, even the negative comments I love, because it's funny. You know, I don't want to give too much away, but I'll tell you that before we started the recording, the person who was there working with me from their side said, you're going to have to move this guy along. He likes to talk. And the funny thing is, some of the comments are about how I kind of push a little bit on that. So even the negative comments are good. I like them, but
I don't think that's like I think that's not a bad thing. You're just like a very conversational interviewer. So like,
well, we just need to move the video along. I was trying to keep it under 10 minutes so it would natively live on LinkedIn too. It'll do well on LinkedIn when we post it there eventually. But anyway, the point is, you need to come to replay tomorrow at 2 p.m. And you know, it's about an hour, and you'll get sort of curated coverage of the entire show. And speaking of the show, in attendance was down about almost 4,000 people, and that's kind of scary a little bit, because actually I don't know if that's the right image, but it's kind of scary a little bit because usually Vegas is higher than Orlando, and to have the attendance down in Vegas a year after Orlando means that maybe people weren't taking this show as seriously as they should. Now, I know that their press release said that end user attendance was up, and it was up as a percentage of overall attendance. I don't think the numbers were actually up, but it was up as a percentage of overall attendance. And so I guess if you're targeting end users, that's a good thing, right? But I think we have to do something as an industry to fix this, because you have ISE in Europe with 92,000, 93,000 people, and we have InfoComm with declining attendance. Now, it will have more attendance next year because they're adding 2 new shows, but that will be sort of like you have to pull those numbers out separately to get the InfoComm. Hopefully we'll get that. Hopefully we'll get the separate numbers so we can see. But I think the industry needs to step up and help Avixa fix InfoComm.
Here is what I think. I think that this year in particular, it's down because there were so many like worldly external factors happening.
I don't agree. I don't agree. In fact, the Canadians were back. There are more Europeans in the United States right now than there have been in the last 2 decades, like literally right now, because of the World Cup. I did see a lot of people who came from Europe for the World Cup and went to the show, which I thought was kind of cool. And I think meaning where I disagree with you is I agree with your synopsis. Absolutely. What I disagree with is that InfoComm is a European show. I don't think Europeans want to come to InfoComm. I think Europeans want ISE and they want their show to be bigger. I think InfoComm is a North American show, and we need to rely on the North American audience. And the North American audience of AV, we know how big it is. We know how many subscribers we have. We know how big it is. And we're only getting about 15% of the total North American audience to come to this show, and that's problematic. Now the end user attendance is always going to be skewed because an end user is an end user at one moment in time, right? So somebody who is an end user of AV at a university this month, say the month of June, might be working on facilities, but in 3 months from now, we'll be working on AV, and they wish they would have gone to InfoComm. So we have to figure out a way to make sure that that we're capturing their attention. I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with the show. The issue is not fixing the show. The issue is fixing what is it about the event that is keeping people from coming, because prior to the pandemic, ISE is bigger than it was before the pandemic. In fact, most of the shows in our industry are prior to the pandemic. InfoComm was like 60, eclipsing close to 60,000 people. Or maybe it was 53,000. We'd have to go back and look. We should easily be getting closer to that by now, and because the percentage of European attendance isn't drastically down, percentage of Asian attendance isn't drastically down. ISE, of course, is flourishing.
Do we think it is the fact that American integrators aren't going to trade shows as much anymore?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's regional shows. We've talked about this. You and I have. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The story that they flashed earlier, this was written by Mark Coxon. Oh, you okay? You were speaking to God?
My light just started flashing for some reason.
You were like talking to God up there for a second.
Something's falling on me here. Just want to make sure it wasn't going to fall.
Are you there, God? It's me, Gary. Mark Coxon wrote this piece, and he talked about in one of his panels, it was very full. It was like 100 and something people came to watch this panel. Yeah. And the person who was hosting it asked, like, how many people here are integrators? 1 hand went up. How many here are consultants? Like 2 hands went up. And then like 1 manufacturer, and then he said over 100 hands were owners or end users. So I don't know. I think that decision makers are the ones that are trying to attend these shows from now on. And you're probably right. And the average integrator is just going to go to something regional. They're not as travel heavy as they used to be. So yeah, they're not going to invest the money in going to this event if they don't see giant value. And the big integrators, of course, they're going to get the manufacturers to come to them. Now, as far as Mark Crossing goes, he works for an integrator, so it makes sense that end users would be coming to his session, even though he'd like to see more integrators there. The truth of the matter is he's competing with them, and they don't want to necessarily go to that. So I don't know that that's necessarily a great indicator. I guess that's true, but the other people were from Logitech, Microsoft, Steelcase, and the moderator was from
and those Visa. Are good brands. Yeah, those are good brands.
So I guess he was the one integrator on it, but if I wanted to find out more about these brands, I would go, even if I was from a competing integrator. So yeah, I think that if you are, I had this thought while I was there. Yeah. I think the companies that are getting the least out of InfoComm are distributors. Like the distributors, they're getting the least. Like there's no reason for distributors right now to be there. That's problematic.
I think, for the show management. I think they'll take a look at that. They'll fix that, right? But right now, that's an area, like, because the integrators, the big integrators are there at the show. In fact, the big integrators all had booths at the show, right? Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons why more end users are going, and makes sense for the integrators to invest in the show. The manufacturers that had booths on the show floor, obviously, there's a combination of both, of two types. One that want to talk to integrators, right? They're not going to make a deal with a distributor on the show floor. They want to talk to integrators to sign them up, and or they want to attract end users. Like a company like Crestron, they're interested in end users understanding their stuff, even though they don't sell to end users, right? I mean, that totally makes sense. A company like Sony, they're interested in users, and in fact, we've talked to them. You and I have talked to them, and they specifically want end user leads. They don't sell direct to end users, but they want the relationship with end users because they want to make sure that the end users understand what products they have. Yeah. I think that what we have to do is find a way to provide value, and I think it's education. I think education is the biggest value. Provide value to the integrators where they'll be willing to invest to come, because the education is the thing you don't get from regional shows. Yeah. From regional shows, what you do get really good is, with few exceptions, you get really good ability to see the newest products, because LG is going to have a booth there, is going to bring their best one product. Epson's going to bring their best one product. What you don't get is education. So when you go to InfoComm, the education has to outshine everything else, and it used to. I just think that that's a big area that needs to really be pushed. They should be leading with education, and that's going to help grow the attendance.
I agree. I think education and like CTS opportunities are AVIXA's biggest and best offering.
Yep. Agreed. And I think that there's been a lot of wow around the show, but in fact, here I'll let you look at this. If you go look at AVIXA's Instagram feed and their LinkedIn feed, find me a post that's about education. It is so much about the experience on the show floor, outweighing all else. And now the experience on the show floor is awesome. Like, I love going to the show, and we're geeks and love that stuff. Yeah. But education is barely mentioned, and I think the education is going to be the place that really is going to make this really big in the future. Because we have to have integrators coming back. You can't have, the industry is not going to be driven by end users. The end users they need those coaches, and those coaches come from integrators.
I agree. I think that I don't think that this was a bad year. I think it's like
no, not at all,
transformational year. I think we're switching, AVIXA's kind of switching a few things around. We're bringing in 2 new shows.
Yeah, the new shows are going to be exciting too.
Yeah, next year is going to be great. So, anyway.
By the way, the 2 new shows, there's Lightapalooza and Reside. And Reside is a high-end home automation. They're going to actually sort of like potentially going to be like Cedia. And then Lightapalooza is an existing lighting automation show. Mostly high-end residential and some commercial. So I think that will help attract more attention again from end users. I think the integrators is where we have to focus, and I think they'll figure it out. They're smart people up there, and they realize that they've got the data. They definitely have the data to fix it. Yeah.
They do. All right, before we continue on, we have a new spot from our sponsor and partner, ViewSonic. Check this out really quick on the CDE 31 series of their commercial displays.
Okay, so in our first product story, Crestron introduced an update to the EMS Express software, which is what controls the Quantum Ultra series of video wall processors. Steph, they're Crestron's really big in video wall processing, especially in command and control. And EMS Express ultimately adds a bunch of features. The biggest one, I think, from an integrator standpoint, management standpoint, is the fact that you can now have 50 different login with unique usernames and passwords that allow people to do everything from control the video wall to design, both admin overall and design of layouts, and activate and act on them as well. They've also doubled the capacity from the canvassing of the software of how many images you can put up at one time from 10 to 20, and also you can now from one admin control up to 20 video walls. I don't know who would have that many, but you could imagine, like the city of LA getting ready for the Olympics, they're going to have a heck of a command center. In fact, I actually helped work on that, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I did actually. Cool. Yeah, Brad Caldwell's company IMS did it, and I worked with them last summer. It's now gone online, and they're using it. They're kind of practicing with it now with the World Cup. But yeah, they've got some work to do on it still. But so this update is now available. So check it out.
That's awesome. Next piece of news, new services just dropped. I know that it is very in right now for manufacturers, integrators, pretty much everybody to offer a service. So AV Pro launched one, and this is AV Pro Design Services specifically for integrators. This is basically a dedicated team of architects that will help integrators design, program, and deploy professional AV systems. So basically, they can serve market segments: business, corporate, education, government, hospitality, basically all of them, retail, house of worship, luxury, residential. And basically they're looking to be more, I think that AV Pro's whole thing here is they're looking to be more than simply a manufacturer. They are looking to be a solutions provider. And everyone who wants to be a solutions provider is switching over to offering services. Distributors offer services right now. Almo has that whole services arm. I think service as a service is popping right now as a trend.
All right, so in something really, really cool, this company, Shade Innovations, introduced Chaos Vinyl, which is basically a clear vinyl to replace or to augment, say, screen porches. So instead of using screen in the wintertime, a lot of outdoor shades exist, but these are clear vinyl outdoor shades or optically transparent shades. They bond together as they go down, which creates a kind of a seal. So you can imagine a screen porch being sort of like transformed for use in the winter time with something like this, because you still get the views of the screen porch, but you don't get the cold of the screen porch. It's definitely a very high-end, unique product. It's not for just anyone, but if you have the kind of home that you want to do this in, this is kind of cool. But each strip comes in 24-inch wide pieces, so that, again, they bond together as they go down. So it's a pretty cool system.
Yeah, you gonna get one?
Man, I wish. I think these probably can be expensive. I mean, I definitely have one of those screen porches that could use something like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree. So, hey, Shade Innovations, can Gary get a coupon?
Yeah, I know, it's pretty awesome, man. It does look really good. They do some really creative things with both screens and shades.
I wonder if this will be at CEDIA Expo. I would love to see it in person.
I'm sure they'll show it there. Yeah.
All right. Well, we have another quick spot from our sponsor and partner, Crestron. Check out this piece on Spotify Camp No, and we'll be right back.
The new cathedrals of the big cities are the stadiums. We are focused to construct the biggest and the best stadium in Europe and the best stadium in the world.
is a really ambitious project in terms of technology to design a fully connected ecosystem across all areas of the stadium. The only brand who can deliver a unified ecosystem with AV over IP technologies is Crestron.
We are not selling football, we are selling experience. Technology must be invisible for the fans. It must work. The Crestron system was essential to afford that kind of new experience in the venues.
Great. So let's keep on. Do you want to do the Crestron story, Gary, or you want me to do it?
Sure, I can do it. They now have the Configure Pro platform for the home OS. We got a lot of home stories, I think.
Yeah, it's a big residential week. I think we're preparing for CEDIA Expo.
Exactly. So anyway, it's a configuration program that allows you to basically design home control systems a little bit easier and integrate AV over IP. In addition to it's aimed to be it's aimed at integrators, obviously, yeah, it's available for the Crestron Home OS platform. I'm sure they'll show it at CEDIA, and that's the reason why they're promoting this at this time. But they had a lot of stuff at InfoComm. I'm sure we're going to talk about tomorrow on replay, so you want to stay tuned for that.
Absolutely. Next up, do you know how to say this brand name? This is one I've always read but never pronounced. Dirac?
Yeah.
Dirac?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have this live active room treatment. It's now available in their live processor. So the Dirac, basically, live active room treatment is a virtual audio processor. It's PC and Mac, and it applies room correction to audio before it even reaches the sound system. So it gives listeners this way to measure and optimize their room through software alone and the computer that they already have. They don't have to buy a bunch of new stuff.
Well, they also license it, so therefore this would be built into audio processors and AV controllers from companies like Marantz, I think, is one of the ones that license Dirac. Yamaha licenses Dirac. So I think
audio
you'll see this also built into this. Yeah.
So another thing that will probably be at CEDIA Expo, and I would like to check it out. I would like to get a demo. But yeah.
All right. So Wiscom, I should say, has expanded their systems of wireless products with the MPR60, which is a wideband. It's an IEM and an IFB receiver, which is going to be great for live events kind of stuff, mostly for stadium kind of applications where you're trying to mic everything in the stadium. So they have a new version of it. They've got a much bigger ecosystem than they had before. This thing includes compatibility with gigabit Ethernet, but also has Dante. It includes Shure ShowLink and Sound Devices NextLink return channel information. So it's compatible with a lot of the other systems that are out there. So if you're using, for example, on field, a Shure microphone system to pick up the players, it can tap into the same wireless system that Wiscom's using for maybe the coaches to communicate, where you're recording that or you're using that as part of your live events system. Of course, you got to have antennas all over the stadium to do this kind of stuff, and Wiscom has a bunch of partners there as well.
Nice. And speaking of Shure, we have a quick spot from them for today on 10 years of Microflex Advance.
Yeah, I was surprised at InfoComm when they told me that it had been 10 years since they introduced the first one.
I guess that's true. I do recall that was their big thing in 2016. My first InfoComm. So check out this spot, and Gary and I will be right back.
For the last decade, Shure's Microflex Advanced portfolio of array microphones has defined the benchmark for premium, scalable audio capture. In 2016, we introduced the MXA910 ceiling array and the MXA310 table array, built on Shure's deep experience and understanding of array technology. With the MXA910, we helped move the microphone off the conference room table and into the ceiling, and our pursuit of excellence has continued to expand what array microphones can do. Because when audio just works, people stop thinking about the technology and are able to focus on the conversation.
Before the ceiling array microphone, you had clunky technology like starfish phones on tables, USB microphones, gooseneck microphones, microphones that hung from the ceiling via cables, which didn't look aesthetically pleasing.
It was black magic, to be honest. It took a lot of work, a lot of really smart people to set up every room. And because of that, you didn't see a lot of proliferation.
There was a project in the acoustics department to see if we could create audio quality that was consistent with gooseneck microphones without there being any of the clutter on the table. The methodology around array technology has been known internally since about 1938. Ben Bauer's lab notebooks have an outline for the basic beamforming. By the early 2010s, processing had caught up, microphone technology had miniaturized. The initial prototype build was a 4-foot wide plexiglass disc with 26 microphones embedded into it, and then all of those analog cables strung up over into a dedicated processing box that was programmed for 4 specific locations. That was the first kind of aha moment. It was like, oh, this is possible and we have something here.
Looking at how the category launched with the MXA 910 and 310 in 2016, it completely shook up how people thought about conferencing audio and made it so that the technology basically disappeared into the room and people could finally just focus on the content of their meeting and not worry about, am I in front of a microphone?
All right, if you want to check out the full video, I think it's about 10 minutes long. It's on Shure's YouTube, so you can go check that out.
Yeah, you should definitely watch it. It's pretty amazing because they kind of, you could argue, invented the technology. What was surprising to me was 75 years ago they had the idea for this, conceptualized it, and started drawing how to do it. Of course, it would have been very difficult and expensive to do back then, but it's amazing that they have people thinking that forward, that you'd even need that, the whole concept of even needing that. And I imagine this was all government stuff, right? These were like government meetings that they wanted to record and review. I imagine it's that kind of stuff. It wasn't like the McDonald's board of directors got together and said we should record our meetings. Yeah, I imagine this is pretty cool. So it's like a documentary, so you should check it out.
Absolutely. So continuing on with the news, this is a local integrator to us. Gary, this is a residential integrator out of Raleigh, North Carolina. I pass by their office quite frequently.
Yeah.
They acquired Sound Components, which is another audio video home automation company out of Miami. So it's kind of cool to see a local integrator to us, a CI kind of growing a little bit. And also they're going to have their show, the Audio Advice Live. It's in Raleigh every year in August, and Corey and I are going to go this year. So it's always in a hotel downtown. They rent out like all the suites, and all the suites have like different, manufacturers doing a bunch of demos and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and we have a case study that features L Acoustics and what they're doing with the LISA, or what I call Lisa, and the K2 arrays. For Lord, who's back on tour, and when I saw that case study, I was kind of surprised. I didn't know that Lord was still a thing, but my daughter was a big fan like 10 years ago. I didn't realize that she was still around, but I guess it makes sense, right? I mean,
yeah,
is she still big?
Gosh, was it last year that she came out with an album? But it's very good.
Just shows how old I am. So
yeah. Oh yeah, her first big album was like 2013, 2014.
I was going to say my daughter was definitely in high school.
Yes.
And I remember her sitting in the back listening, and I was like, "Who is that?" And she was telling me, I was like, "That seems like an odd name," but yeah.
And
anyway,
she's what? Is she from New Zealand?
I have no idea. I don't know anything about her other than I probably could recognize one of her songs. But as we mentioned, top of the hour, we have replay InfoComm 2026 tomorrow at 2 p.m. It does qualify for all the CTSs, so you get it. And it's basically all of our favorite stuff from InfoComm We're going to curate it. You're not going to see full videos. You're going to see little snapshots of videos of featuring some of the most exciting things that we captured at the show. So like Steph said, we're going to focus on about 50 products.
Absolutely. And some I picked out because I was like, oh, that's kind of funky. That's kind of cool. And others I picked out because they were my favorites. Others I picked out because I went into commercial AV Reddit and saw what people were talking about there. And other ones, like, I checked out myself and thought it was cool. So I've tried to collect things from everywhere when I put this together. So I hope you guys like it. And then otherwise, we have a Crestron launch and learn coming up. If the short spot on the Spotify Camp No interested you, this is going to be kind of a full hour on all about how Crestron partnered with them, how they were trying to turn this stadium into more of a 365-day venue rather than just for games. It's going to be July 7th at noon Eastern. So definitely come. It'll be a good conversation. Tim Albright is going to be the host, and he will bring on a bunch of different people from Crestron to talk about that project, what they did, what they learned. So if that is something that interests you, definitely come and check it out. Yeah,
I definitely think people should see those kind of projects are really cool because it starts with you doing executive suites, and then now you're doing the whole stadium. I mean, any integrator in our industry can do these kinds of things. It's just having the right contacts and then having the both the financial understanding of how to process a sale like that, but also how to partner with the right other companies to do the work with you. You can't do it all on your own. So I think this is a good demo system, like a good case study for you to attend. That's going to be July 7th at noon.
Agreed. And I think for end users as well, come and check that out, learn how this works. It's going to be just as important for you guys who have to manage this technology every day, can look at how at scale this can possibly be. So definitely come and check this out too. But yeah, I think that's our show for the day. Gary, thank you.
Yep. We'll see you later. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, everybody.
It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.